How to avoid the buzz factor in software development. In today's video, I'm sharing my experience in building a better workflow to prevent the pain and trouble brought by the buzz factor. Hi, my name is Adler, and today I'm sharing some tips for avoiding the buzz factor. If you're not familiar with the buzz factor, it means that we have a project that only one or few people know how to develop or maintain. If these people are run over by a bus, I hope not, and need to take some days off, a project would get stuck. Most of the time, it's because we are always chasing the deadline when we are working on a project, we don't have time to think about anything else, and we don't care about whether other developers could maintain this project or not. But if you think about it, avoiding the buzz factor actually saves us time in the future. At any point in time, things can happen on the project. The project owner will quit, or that person will be assigned to another project. So it's better to start with the right method, which makes it easier when things happen. The tips that I'm sharing are practical, but it takes time to implement. We don't have to start a revolution in a team. There are mostly some good habits to keep in mind when we do our work. From there, we can build up a good workflow slowly and move toward a better state. Number 1. Follow coding standards and best practices. This includes writing reasonable code, writing unit tests, writing inline documentation, and performing code reviews. Each item is a big topic, so I'll put some links in the description below for details, or if you'd like to know more, I'll explain in other videos. When we follow a coding standard, it's easier for other developers, including us, who will come back to the same code 6 months later to understand better how the code works when reading it. For example, it's common that we have some bizarre business logic, I hope not, that cannot be understood when reading the code. We always have the reaction like,
"Oh my god, what this code is doing!"
If we have some comments on the function, or at least a link to some reference documents somewhere else, it will be beneficial to the readers to understand the purpose of a specific piece of code. Number 2. Workflow documentation. This is different from inline documentation within a codebase. We have to spend time writing some documents describing how to proceed with a project. For example, how to deploy a new version of the app, how to install specific dependencies from a private server, who to talk to if we have a question about our payment service provider. The benefit, when we need to tell someone how it works, we basically can just send the person a link to the document and then continue to focus on our work. If the document is good enough, that person can finish it on its own. We won't be bothered with any questions. It's a win-win situation. Before we move on to the third tip, if you like this video, don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one. Number 3. Responsibility rotation. Responsibility rotation means that one developer works on project A and another developer works on project B. After 6 months or some time, they switch their responsibility and work on each other's projects. This might sound like a complete waste of time, but it's not. This is more like a risk control. We're moving the time required for taking over the work when someone quits to the time when it's less urgent. If the developer rotated to project B has any questions, the previous developer is still there. They can have a meeting anytime they want. But if the previous developer has quit, there's no one to ask. Number 4. Do not have a team that has only one member. This is not just for the buzz factor, this is for general maintainability. Everyone knows it, but as we can see in the industry, there are still many services or projects out there that are maintained by only one developer. They don't have code review, no inline documentation, and no workflow documentation. This is because there's only one member, so no one else needs to read it. Also, if technical decisions are made by the only member of the team, we're going to see some very interesting choices. For example, for a new JavaScript project, are we using React.js or Vue.js? No, we're using jQuery for everything, no matter how complicated the project is. This is essentially why we want the team to have more than one member. Maintainability comes from teamwork. Only when there are discussions, decisions are made logically and reasonably. Bonus tip: pair programming. Pair programming shares the responsibility from a single developer to another developer. It is a workflow in which two developers code together to resolve an issue or build a new feature, typically using the same screen or doing it remotely. The benefit of pair programming is that responsibilities are shared when a program is created. It might take time during the coding process, but it saves time for the code review because it's already reviewed during the coding process. It's good for maintainability, avoiding the bug factor, and it's good for having more interactions with our colleagues. Unless we hate our colleagues. Okay, I hope you find this video helpful. Let me know in the comment section below what other topics you would like to hear, and let me know if you have any questions. I will see you next time.